Mental wellness has been a constant theme throughout modern art history. However, the ways in which it has been portrayed has evolved over time. In the early 1900s, Matisse painted the ideal landscape for wellness in his iconic masterpiece, The Joy of Life. Nudes lounge and bathe, enjoying the pastoral lifestyle with not a care in the world. The quest for Arcadia was a common desire among people. Although Matisse painted it as attainable, many other artists had a much more difficult time finding utopia. Lucian Freud, grandson of the great psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud, portrays the growth of mental health over time in his works. His later pieces, like Reflection, his self-portrait, employ looser brushstrokes and a more weathered human flesh than what is seen as the ideal representation in art. His work, similar to the human mind, changes with age, offering different views on the mental wellness found in art and artists. Soft Construction by Salvador Dali was created during a time of unrest in his country and was inspired by the new psychoanalytical ideas of Sigmund Freud. The work gives us a glimpse into the subconscious of the psychological torment illustrated to the point of physiological suffering with the excruciating pain in both body and mind. The grotesque gargantuan figure shows the state of being a mind endures. The creature pulls itself apart as if by forging through the pain, but maintains that peace will come with death. Edvard Munch, an expressionist artist from Norway, grew up with his personal tragedies. He expresses his personal obsessions with grief in his pieces. An average walk with friends during the sunset is transformed from a romantic scene into an expression of death and anguish that was rooted into Munch's mind through the death and suffering of his loved ones, witnessed right before his eyes. The mental state of the artist has become a signature style within his works. The cry has been familiarized as a symbol of modern anxiety and alienation in pop culture today. The feeling of alienation and attempting to find solace in an increasingly urban world has been a persistent concern in modern art. The Night Cafe by Van Gogh explores darker side of existence by displaying night prowlers absorbed in their loneliness and despair. The stark contrast of the colors convey the mental instability felt in this jarring scene. The perspective of the floor is tilted as if sliding towards the viewer, which creates a terrifying claustrophobic composition. Nearly 100 years later, George Segal explores the same existential despair in The Diner. Instead of a claustrophobic depiction, his walk-in paintings allowed the viewer to project his or her own mental instabilities on the white plaster cast, which acts as ghosts simply existing in a tangible world. Wassily Kandinsky was one of the most original and influential artists of the 20th century. His inner necessity to express his emotional perceptions led to the development of an abstract style of painting that was based on the non-representational properties of color and form. Kandinsky's compositions were the culminations of his efforts to create a pure painting that provided the same emotional power as musical composition. Kandinsky used his synesthesia to inform the artistic process he tried to capture on canvas, the visual equivalent of a symphony. Kandinsky used color in a highly theoretical way, associating tone with timbre, hue with pitch, and saturation with the volume of sound. He even claimed that when he saw color, he heard music. In Carnival de Harlequin, we see Moreau's inner desire for freedom and nonsense of randomness extending beyond the constraints of everyday life in his own desolate situation. Moreau was prone to bouts of depression lasting months at a time. The idea of personal well-being for Moreau extended into his artwork and could be demonstrated through his attempt to convey his own desires for freedom from the confines of his own depression. Similarly, Dubuffet found that his art began to change when he shifted into a more childlike approach to painting and demonstrated his joie de vivre in a simplified manner. His studies of the artistry of the mentally ill gave way to his own ability to express in a more simplistic manner the buoyant, fun, and loving nature of themes. In Corpse de Dame, Dubuffet is taking a commonly portrayed theme, the femme fatale body, depicting it in a crude and unconventional manner, that flatness and a characteristics depiction into a more fun and loving, playful manner. The conceptual installation of Kleinholz created the State Hospital, which addressed the victimization and degradation of society's marginal citizens. He wished to expose the brutality and prison house atmosphere of the hospital for the mentally ill, at which surrounds the man on the top bunk in a comic book thought bubble, as if to suggest the man on the bottom bunk has only imagined his double above him. The hollow cavities found in their heads becoming a striking metaphor of wasted minds. The black fish is a confined and represents death. The treatment of the mentally ill shifted from treating them as prisoners to treating them as spectacles. Diane Arbus famously photographed even in marginal outsiders of society, including mentally ill. Her photographs often provoke strong reactions for exposing the grittier aspects of life that are often swept under the rug or shunned. In Untitled Number 6, three mentally disabled women play in their backyard. Unlike many other photos from this series, these women were not masked. The carefree nature of these women, despite their condition, is remarkable. The theme of mental wellness has been applied throughout history. It's doubtful that we will ever unravel the mysteries of the mind, but until then, the complexities of mental wellness continue to be explored and applied to themes in art.